I feel like people relate better when they see your human side, they see your mistakes. So you might judge them, but they just see it as normal. And that's how I want you to see it. Don't be like, oh my God, I look weird. You look weird to you, but nobody else thinks you look weird. Yes. We're on Tongva territory. We always forget to acknowledge where we are standing. And I want to acknowledge that today. I want to thank all of our ancestors for their presence. We may not see them around us, but they are around us right now, watching us, and they are proud to see the progress that we're making.
You know, it's just sad to not know where your roots and your paths and how those are interconnected, and how other people's paths are interconnected with yours and your roots. Thank you so much for coming. I have followed you in for a while. The thing that really intrigued me about your videos were the passion that you brought into languages.
Yeah.
And getting connected to you, because regardless of how people describe it, that's you. Your ancestors, is in your blood, is in your skin, is in the features that sometimes get put that negative way, but then you look at it, it's like, no, those features are actually beautiful.
Yes.
And they're very unique, and they make you, and that's something that I can say that blindfold has been lifted off my eyes, and I've come into that beauty of the things that before they were calling it ugly. So your videos is what really helped me start seeing that, because I can hear the words and it makes sense. How did your life get started, and what was that transition? How was your path to get here?
So I want to say thank you for having me. I'm happy that our paths are meeting now. That my path and your path have crossed. And my path started, I came from Michoacán. So my roots are actually Purépecha. I was born in Zacapu, where apparently the Purépecha Empire started. But I came here when I was 4 years old, so I was always disconnected from my culture and my identity. And when I came to the United States, my parents, they know nothing about indigeneity. They know nothing about, they only know the Spanish side of our ancestry. So all the stuff that I've discovered to this point have to do with self-discovery and my own desire to go and search for those things. In college, I studied a science major, so my major is actually biochemistry and science. So it's completely unrelated, but my school required me to take a field different from my major. They required me to take anthropology courses. And in those anthropology courses, I said, why not learn more about my culture? So I took a lot of Mexican history courses, anthropological courses, just general cultural courses. And in one of my Mexican history courses, I learned about the Spanish conquest of Mexico. And there was a lot of words in there that were Nawatl words. And I got very curious, they were spread out throughout the whole explanation of what happened. And it just got me very curious. And so it just happened that during that time, while I was taking those courses, I had also joined a Danza Azteca group. And I was also hearing them use words that I was very curious about, what does that word mean? And it wouldn't, for some reason, escape me, and I really needed to find that answer. So after I graduated college, I went to pharmacy school, another science-heavy major, and I'm a pharmacist currently. And that's when I started searching for the information about indigenous languages on my own. Completely unrelated to what I was studying, but I went and searched for it. I found a lot of, I researched and found out that Nahuatl was the indigenous language with the most speakers in Mexico. So I got super curious about it and said, I'm gonna go find all the resources. But it was actually a really big challenge. It was actually hard to find the resources to learn the language. You would think because it has the most speakers that you would be able to find it, but there were not very many textbooks or any information that I could find on it. I did find one major textbook that helped me learn a lot, but it was a hard thing to learn something from a book and then actually practice it. So I went on Facebook and I looked for groups, and I started finding groups that actually spoke the Nahuatl language. I found myself like a teacher and said, "Hey, I wanna learn this language." And somebody, his name is Ivan. He reached out to me and said, "Hey, like I would love to show you like pronunciation." So I spent like a good couple months just learning pronunciation with him. He was a really good teacher. I still sometimes run into him in these Nahuatl speaking circles, but a lot of it was me searching. And then reflecting on my own heritage, I started realizing, wait, the Nahuatl culture is beautiful. I love the language, but my actual heritage is likely Purépecha. So now I'm on that search to learn the Purépecha language.
Yes, I can empathize with that. I've also done some Purépecha, very mild. How learning these languages and coming to that conclusion that Purépecha is where you to continue doing your research.
Mm-hmm.
How has that opened that gateway to your rediscovery path?
So I guess my gateway was the Aztec dance and then also the courses that I took in college. Those were my gateways. But the language learning that I've done currently has changed like the way that I see things, I guess. Being able to compare two different indigenous languages, I do see some patterns in at least the construction of words and the formation of ideas. Some ideas actually are similar. So I would say that when you learn a language, you learn how it's constructed, you learn words, and you learn like certain concepts. Those concepts are the ones that kind of help you recover or revive or reclaim your indigenous identity. So I would say like the terms that you specifically use.
What terms did it came up to you?
Mm-hmm. So for example, I'm like maybe the word for poetry. The word for poetry, if you learn in Nahuatl, it's in Xochitl, in Cuicat. That's one way to say it. There's actually two ways. Xochitl means flowers, the flowers, and Cuicat means the songs. So you see poetry as flowers and songs. There's also, you could also call it Xochicuicat. But essentially, you're learning that they see poetry as songs and flowers. That's a different way to look at poetry. But other things like the word for learning in Nahuatl, it's momachtia. So machtia means to teach something, but momachtia means to teach yourself. So I see the word momachtia as representing, like when you're learning, you're not just learning, you're teaching yourself something, which I think is a different way to look at it. And the way we learn it in present culture, it's okay, the rest of the world's gonna give you the information, you're gonna retain it. But if you see it as, I'm gonna learn the information, well, the world is the input, but I'm really the one that's actually learning, that is a powerful way to see it.
What would you say for those students that are questioning, especially in now times, for those youths that are saying like, hey, I'm looking at how the world are treating us, but who am I?
Wow.
Like, yeah, who am I? Who really am I?
Yeah, it's a complex question.
How
do you answer that?
Yeah, how do you answer that? Did you ever ask that question to yourself? And
100%. I've asked it many times, and I know. One of the ways that I have answered that question is I did my DNA test. So I have a lot of features that are actually a mixture of a lot of cultures. Like I have the beard, but then I have the indigenous eyes, and then I have the curly hair. So a lot of my life I questioned like what my actual background was, what my ethnic makeup was, because I would constantly get confused for different ethnicities and never really known what I was. And so for a really long time, like many times in my life, I've been confused as Filipino. Many times, like consistently throughout my life. So that always made me question like, what is my actual background? So I didn't know, so I did that ancestry DNA test. And my background came back mixed, like super mixed. Majority of it in indigenous, about 50%, but the other European and also some African. So I was like, whoa, like that actually blew my mind, because the way that I see myself versus what the DNA test says versus the culture that I grew up on, they're all like slightly different. But knowing who you really are, that's a really hard question. It's a complex question. I'm answering it, biologically right now, but then you have to add that layer of like the culture that you grew up in and who are you as like that person. Culturally I grew up Mexican, so I see myself as Mexican, but I was born in Michoacán, so my background is probably Purépecha, but I grew up my first language as Spanish. So I grew up with one language, moved to the United States, learned another language, and then got excited about my indigenous background, learned Nawatl, and now I want to learn Purépecha. So I've gone through, like, I guess, the whole Americas learning languages. Yeah. But who am I? I don't know. That's a really hard question. It's a really hard question to answer.
It's a hard question to answer because I think there's a lot of opposing stories to that to access that self-discovery, I think, and they don't want us to ask that question because they just want us to accept their answer of who we are. But I think like the works that you do and how your social media has really influenced how people are changing that. And especially, I do want to put this point, how when we went to the protest, and it wasn't just me that said, like, oh my gosh, I'm meeting someone famous. There were so many people that came up to you and said the same thing.
You weren't the only one.
I was not, and it was so exciting to see that. It was so exciting because that's like what your contribution, what you are doing for people. Yeah. So what do you have to say about that?
I want to tell you that is one of the crazier, like, it's validating, but it's completely shocking or surprising to me, because when you make social media posts, you just think it's just me posting, nobody really cares. Well, it's not that nobody cares, but you don't know how the world is going to receive it. And I grew up as like one of those people that was like a loner, I guess. I didn't have a lot of validation when I was younger. So seeing the world see me now, like in public and so publicly, it's kind of a shock to my like system to be like, oh my God, people actually recognize me, because I'm kind of still that kind of loner inside where I feel too seen in public. But I'm also very grateful of all the impact that I have had, because like you said that it made you feel proud and that it made you feel, to start seeing somebody speaking indigenous languages in public was such an impact for you. Yes. A lot of people have already come up to me and told me the impact that I've had on them, and to me that's just so beautiful to be like, oh, I did something and it actually impacted so many people and they see themselves in me, and I think that's beautiful.
Yes, I do have to say that is, it was beautiful, and it was beautiful to see people's reactions in meeting you, because it's like, yeah, I know, especially living in LA, you get to see a lot of Hollywood stars, movie stars.
I think that's the importance of media representation. I think that's why a lot of people care so much about media representation, because like you said, what we see in Hollywood, it's a small portion of the population, especially of us being in Los Angeles. There's a lot of people who are brown that look like us, but you don't see us on the TV.
No.
So for you to be like, oh, I'm so starstruck because I saw somebody, it's because you started seeing you. You started seeing parts of you that you have never seen. And I think that's what makes it so impactful for you. Whereas when you see a different celebrity, you're like, oh, like I don't really relate with them.
Now, I love how the word that you said, how you weave the other stuff, the language, the culture. What else have you weaved into your life that that kind of meshed together? So you have the medium, different several mediums. You have the tapestry and the language. What else have you added and weaved in?
Well, the culture and the sense of empowerment, I guess, the sense of agency, that's what I intend to weave in there. Because it's not just showcasing the culture, I also want to give people like a message, like a positive message of empowerment.
Empowerment. Why is that message important for you to communicate?
Well, why is it important to communicate? Because I want to be the person for someone else that they can see themselves as, and that they can see their own beauty and their own power. We're right now in a society with the current political climate where they're trying to make us seem like the criminals or the people who are causing all the problems. But I want to counteract that narrative by showcasing something beautiful, something creative, and something that shows that we have agency and that we do have power.
I agree with that. I absolutely agree. Something that I've seen now more than before is the popularity of indigenous sounds.
So I say right now that there is a lot of interest increasing in indigenous cultures and indigenous language, and I say that based on my social media presence and how I've seen it change throughout the years. So I started like YouTube videos in like 10 years ago around there, and my channel was like doing whatever, you know. I actually was posting not necessarily caring about the reaction, because I'm doing it for the passion and for what I believe in, not for popularity. But I've seen it grow significantly. Like my channel is now in YouTube around 10,000 followers, which tells you that interest is growing. In addition, I started some Nawatl classes about a couple years back, and when I posted those courses on my social media, it was so popular. I got 800 people who signed up for my class. Okay, so there were 800 people out there interested in learning the Nawatl language. So that tells you to what extent it's growing. And then the most important, the one that's made it the most visible is my viral video that where I showcase the word axolotl. Axolotl is a Nawatl word, and these animals who are endangered currently, they are really popular in pop culture currently. And so when I posted that video, I was like, oh, I'm going to teach people how to pronounce this word that is a Nawatl word, kind of like spontaneously, honestly, and didn't really expect that huge of a response. But at this current moment, that video has gone so viral, 11 million people have seen it.
Wow.
And that tells you the impact or how much it's growing right now.
Yeah.
So that interest is growing. And not only that, I also want to showcase, I don't know if you saw yesterday what happened in Mexico City, but they had this 700-year celebration of the founding of Tenochtitlan, Mexico City, the capital, and they showcased like the Mexica culture so beautifully in like such a proudful way that tells you how much it's changing. That they could do a celebration that big and that meaningful there. That happened yesterday.
It's a beginning.
Yeah.
And it does reflect what you're saying. I want to point out that that Aquarium of the Pacific, their pet sponsor
is the axolotl.
I wonder if you had something to do with that influence, because yes, they are. It's sad to see because they are so cute, like physically they have that smile. Then you can see that happy face. And why is it that that creature is important?
Well, currently this creature it only grows in Mexico. That's its habitat, but it is in current danger of disappearing. And so we don't want to see this happen, but it kind of signals what's going on in the world right now with climate change and how we're not taking care of the earth. And so signaling the fact that it's in the process of becoming potentially of disappearing, it's not a good signal for like the earth and how we are doing. And hopefully one day we'll improve it and Dashalot will be in abundance in its habitat.
In its natural habitat.
Yeah.
And I guess that is true. It's symbolic of even of ourselves as a culture. Like how can we change that?
Mm-hmm.
Like how can we change our ecosystem to make sure that we continue alive? And I think the language, arts, music, making sure that all that it does not disappear, is so important. But music is another language that a lot of people use to connect. So we have sports, we have arts, and music. How I went to see this artist and it's a cumbia artist, and they are from DF.
Yeah.
When I discovered them, they were like, this is like me, because they infuse cumbia with marimba.
Oh, I love marimba.
Yes.
So pretty.
And now for marimba, for me, it's even more symbolic because I am from Guatemala, and marimba is something that is representative of Mayans.
Oh.
Because that beat, that boom, 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 boom beat, it's infusing a lot of indigenous music throughout the continent. You hear that in Native Americans, here in the Americas. You see that in Aztec dancing. You see that including all the way to the Andes. There is that sound going boom, 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 boom. It almost sounds like the sound of your heartbeat. It is a beautiful music. And so seeing them in concert was really magical for me. And it felt very freeing. So that group really opened up a lot of other, curiosity to find more of music and what is it where my music, I'm connected, but my indigenous side. Have you had that experience?
Oh, 100%. I do want to talk to you about a beautiful experience that I had. About 2 or 3 years ago, I don't remember what year it was. I think it was 2 years ago. I went to the Purépecha speaking town called Santa Fe de la Laguna, where like majority of the people speak the Purépecha language. It's like the only town where it's like everybody practically speaks the Purépecha language. So I've been on this journey to learn the Purépecha language, and I went there. And so in 2018, this group called Orquesta Tatabasco, they went mini viral on YouTube with some of the indigenous songs, some of the pirecuas. Pirecuas are the names of the Purépecha songs that they make. And I became a fan of one of their, like, 2 or 3 of their songs, but one of them specifically, right? So for, like, years, I was like, I memorized that song. I would sing it, like, all the time, right? And I memorized it, like, I know it really well still. And when I told my teacher about how fascinated I was with that song, when I actually went there, I got to meet the group who wrote the song.
Yeah.
And then my teacher knew about this, and he's like, oh, we should invite them to have like a mini like singing session, let them play their music, blah, blah, blah. Then he surprised me because he's like, no, you're not just going to see the performance, you're going to be the performance. And so if you go on my social media, you'll see me like dressed up in traditional Purépecha gear, regalia, and I'm singing the song that I memorized years and years back with them. And that honestly was one of the most impactful and meaningful times in my life, because I felt reconnected with my forgotten indigenous culture. Because my whole life, like, I haven't really reconnected with the Purépecha people or the Purépecha language or the Purépecha music. But when I went there and was physically there where they only spoke that language, the Purépecha language, and I got to sing a beautiful love song with the people who created the song, that was just like absolutely impactful. And it's a moment in my life that I'm never gonna forget. So music, it has such an impact. It can change people's lives. It can change people's perspectives. So I encourage people out there who, if you're learning, like, let's say you're a native language speaker of any, create songs, create poems, create music, because people may not understand what the words you're saying, but they will understand the feeling that you're showing. And that's exactly the experience that you had. You may not have understood what words they may have been saying at the concert, or I'm not sure if it was in another language, but you knew the feeling, that feeling of that heartbeat.
Of the heartbeat,
Of the heartbeat. So music is universal. Create your own music, and people will relate whether or not they understand the language.
Yes. The heartbeat. I think that's what I do love. Tell me more about that experience, because I really want to see if you can take me there at that moment, because I would like to feel that experience.
Well, you said you were starstruck when you met me. I was starstruck when I met them, because I had been looking up to them, and because there are a lot of native artists out there that play music like native songs, but it was the artist that I was like looking up to, the band that I was into so much. So just seeing them and being in their presence, it was just already like a wow moment for me. But then having the surprise put on me that you're gonna sing with them, that takes it to another level, because you're not just there to experience your favorite artist, you're there to experience it with them. Yeah. And so my teacher brought me this sarape, this Mexican Purépecha sarape. I put that on. It's blue. It has all these vibrant colors, these beautiful designs that are made by the Purépecha people. And then the sombrero, the Purépecha style sombrero. I'm sitting there in a chair just like this, about the same, size. And then I have the band right here, right next to me, to the right side of me. They have a violin. And then I have the main singer, the older a woman who sings the song, and she's there and she's talking to me, like getting to know me. Then I start getting nervous, super nervous. And besides that, I'm also in a context where I'm in an experience where I had come to that place just to learn the Purépecha language, and so the people who are my audience are like students who are also trying to learn the Purépecha language. And then so I remember I started speaking, and I start speaking in Spanish, saying like, oh, gracias, muchas gracias por tenerme aquí. And then my teacher's like, in Purépecha, please. And I was like, it kind of brought me like a little bit of shock, because I had been learning the Purépecha language, but I didn't feel prepared in that moment to actually say something. So when I got caught off guard when he's like, oh, in Purépecha. He said it in Purépecha. He said, Pore himbo, which means say it in Purépecha. And I was like, oh. So I had that little like shock. But weirdly and amazingly, I was able to say things in the Purépecha language, and I was able to express myself, even if it was very simple, in the Purépecha language. And so that too was also really important and awesome. It was just awesome. I felt great, like I had actually done something. I had reached it. Now I reached some type of fluency. Right currently, I haven't yet reached fluency, and I plan to, but I know that I can do it because I did it with the Nawatl language. And so I was there with my basic Purépecha phrases, expressing my feelings. And then we got to sing that song that is like a love song, that essentially says, hey, I'm passing in front of you just so you could kind of look at me. And And the song translates to, like, if you ever saw how much you mean to me, you would always come running towards me, and we'd be together forever. But that's what the song translates to. But besides that, when you hear the song, it has a lot of passion in the lyrics. And so just being there, singing it with that group was just so meaningful. To be like experiencing my culture firsthand it was beautiful. Yeah.
I can feel that. I can see it. I want to be there.
You want to be there?
I want to be there.
Let's go back in time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I would like to experience that one day.
Yeah, if you ever want to hear Purépecha music, just type in the word Pirequa, Pirequa, Pirequa. That's the traditional way for that those songs are called, and you'll find tons of Pirequas. But that's just one genre of like native songs. I encourage the audience to go and search out other cultures, your culture, other native cultures. Go and experience world music. Yeah.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for having me and having my story heard. It's validating to know like that other people can hear my story and then connect with it and then see themselves in me.
I do.
I want to encourage the audience that if you see something out there that you want and it doesn't exist, or there's a lot of barriers for you to actually get to that goal, like I did with my language learning. I had a lot of barriers to get to where I am, that you create it for yourself. That you don't wait around for other people to make it for you. You say, it doesn't exist, and that's a great idea because now I can make it exist. That's my party message.
Thank you so much. I really love your words.
Thank you.
And yes, you're my famous star. Thank you. Can I give you a hug?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. This was beautiful, and I'm so grateful for this experience.
Thank you so much.